So being a full-time student and a full-time worker was definitely an experience, to say the least. And I was reminded of that a few weeks ago when one of my close friends texted me. He was basically saying, hey man, I really enjoy your videos. I really enjoy the investment talks and the strategies that you're talking about. I was actually talking to my girlfriend about your investment videos, and she recommends that you can make a video about how to balance school and work. Great transition, buddy. But you know, that's a good point. Now, right now, his girlfriend is in her master's program and she's working full time as well. And I definitely know how she's feeling right now. Well, not really. I didn't get my master's degree per se, but a few years back, I was getting my bachelor's degree for mechanical engineering. And it was fun, like I said. If you watch a video about how to study as an engineer major, which if you haven't, by the way, I'll leave a link right above, then you'll have an insight of what I went through just as an engineer major. I had my all-nighters, group studies, no life, got my gold card from Starbucks really quick, which by the way is a lot easier than you may think if you're a college student, so keep that in mind, by the way. But at the end of it all, it was definitely worth it. I ended up participating in the ring ceremony and I got my class ring. And on December 14th of 2018, I actually walked and graduated, shook the hand of a dean that I've never met, and got not my degree, which ended up coming in the mail later on, which is really weird on how that works out. I mean, seriously, I'll go through 4+ years. The least you can do for us is give us a degree, but that's neither here nor there. Like a lot of you, I understood the struggles of being a full-time student. And like a lot of you, I also had a full-time job. Now, the finances for school had to be paid for somehow, and I had my own personal bills I had to pay for, and the money wasn't falling from the sky. I wasn't getting grants, so I had to pay for this stuff myself. So that's where the full-time job came in. And balancing being a full-time student and being a full-time worker is definitely well, it sucked, to be honest with you. And it was very stressful. And that's the word, stress. In my opinion, that's what bridges the two, the school and the work. I feel like if you can actually control the amount of stress, meaning you can minimize stress, reduce it, and potentially even eliminate certain stress factors that shouldn't even be worth your time, then I feel like balancing the two will end up being a lot easier than it should be. So let's not waste any more time, guys. In this video, I'm gonna talk to you about how I personally balance being a full-time student and being a full-time worker. So let's go. What's going on, guys? It's Derek Jackson here, and if you watch a lot of my recent videos, you'll notice that I talk a lot about investment strategies, dividend, drip, how to save money, and all that stuff. So this may seem a little bit of a different turnaround, but in reality, it kind of isn't. And here's the reason why. So in my last video about dividend investing, and if you haven't watched that yet, I'll leave a link right above me. I talk about how, in my opinion, dividend investing is probably the easiest form of investing. That's at least from what I know at this point. And keep in mind, guys, I've only been investing for a couple of years, so this is a journey for me as it is for you guys. But no matter what type of investment strategy you're utilizing, there comes knowledge that you have to obtain with it. So for dividend investing, the primary knowledge that you have to obtain is in the company that you're investing in. You need to know what they're about, what their short-term goals are, what their long-term goals are. So you understand that the company that you're putting your money towards is a healthy company. And you know that researching other information like the dividend APY, the beta, and stuff like that is actually going to result in the income that you're aware of. And if you have outside situations that become distractions if not handled properly, that can actually affect your preparation of that knowledge of whatever you're doing. So investment, for example. And that preparation of knowledge comes when you study. So when you have these outside situations that become distractions, that can affect your study time. And one of those outside situations, if not handled properly, that can become distractions can be work, especially if you're working full time. And you could literally replace investment with school, except that with investing, you're preparing to make some money, and with school, you're going to be giving somebody money, and that sucks. So try to get as many grants as you can while you're in high school. So if you're able to balance the two, then you're minimizing the stress that you're getting from school and from work. And that's my step one on how I personally balance being a full-time student and full-time worker. Minimizing stress. And one of the big ways you can minimize stress is by eliminating stress that should be irrelevant to begin with. And that can be done by this ridiculous universal phenomenon known as time management. And if you look up time management, the definition itself is the ability to use one's time effectively. And if you're in college right now, you're probably just like how I was in college, and you're not doing that. You're probably doing the opposite, which is another universal phenomenon known as procrastination. But once you get the hang of actually utilizing time management, then these examples of time management should be easier for you. One of those examples is study ahead. Whether that's studying a few weeks before an upcoming exam that you're aware of, or even more importantly, and which is probably more effective, using the syllabus even before school starts to start taking notes and start reading ahead. So while your classmates are reading about one subject, you're understanding that subject and you're able to take more time to read about the next and the next and so on and so forth. So you're, in fact, are having more time to actually study for those exams. And the benefit of being able to do that is you're using less time thinking about, oh, how I could be studying at work when you've already taken enough time to study at home. So any additional time that you're taking to study while you're not at work is just icing on the cake. So that's really beneficial. Now, when it comes to work, there's only so much you can do, and it definitely depends on the type of work that you do. But one thing that I do, and it annoys the crap out of my managers, and I really don't care, is that I ask a lot of questions. So no matter what type of work you're in, there's some form of a project that you're gonna need to do, and you wanna make sure that you actually understand what you're being asked of for that day at least, so you can avoid being at school or trying to enjoy your social life, and you're thinking on the back of your head, I really wanna make sure that I did that right. You don't have to worry about that. As a matter of fact, my manager used to always tell me, if someone gave me an axe and dropped me off in the forest and told me I had 8 hours to cut this tree down, I would spend 7 hours sharpening the axe. I'm pretty sure that's a real quote. I'm not sure who really made it, so we're just gonna say my manager made it. But that resonated with me a lot. And what he's basically saying is, if you're given an assignment, a project, or whatever that needs to be due at a certain period of time, you want to make sure when you start it and you finish it fluidly. And the best way to do that is to make sure you understand what you're being asked to do, you understand the materials you need, so you're not having to start and make hiccup after hiccup after hiccup, and there's not a fluid motion of that project. If there is a fluid motion of the project, then the outcome's a whole lot better, so definitely remember that. And one really quick pro tip, if you're one of those rare occasions where you actually have a full ride scholarship, or you're financially set as far as paying for school, and you just want a job, then definitely find a job that will help cater to your schooling. So look into your work-study programs at your university. That may include working at a gym at the university, working at a library, which is what I would recommend, being a tutor. They're primarily there to help cater to your study time. So there'll more than likely even be jobs where you can study while you're on the job. So you're essentially studying while making money. It's crazy. So definitely look into that. Now, thinking about these tips that I have for you, I have to remind myself and remind you guys that there is no way to avoid any stress in any situation at all. If there's any YouTubers out there that tell you, hey guys, you want to learn how to not have any stress in your life at all, then they are lying. And if they're not lying, then please leave a comment below of a link of that video, and I'll watch it for myself because I really want to know how they do that. It's really magical. So you're always going to have stress in your life. And step one is to help minimize that stress by eliminating certain things that shouldn't be stressful to you at all. Tip number two that helped me is to find forms of stress relief. Now for me, my number one form of stress relief, no matter where the stress is coming from, is working out. So I try to work out at least 4 times a week, and it gives me the opportunity to take all that anger out on something healthy. I'm not negatively affecting anybody. As a matter of fact, I'm creating a positive impact on everybody because I'm not using that resonated anger or stress on them to create a negative impact on my friendships or people I'm just meeting or whatever. I'm also creating a positive impact on myself because I'm getting myself in a healthier physique and getting myself mentally healthy as well by relieving that stress in the gym. Now, when I was at school, there were a lot of times where I had breaks in between classes, maybe a couple hours, so I had enough time to eat lunch, take a nap, or even go to the gym. So I would do that, and that was really beneficial because a lot of my classes, especially as an engineering major, were really stressful. And a lot of the times I couldn't find myself immediately studying right after class. I needed that little break in between. So I used that break at the gym, and I'll just put some music on and push stuff and pull stuff and just run until I was really tired. But at the end of the day, I found myself really relieved, and it helped me get into more of a mindset to actually study. So I did that. And for work, that may be a little tougher, and again, and that depends on what type of job that you have. So if you have the opportunity at your job to take breaks or get some quiet time to yourself, then definitely do that. No matter if you're in the middle of a project, well, I guess it's a little easier to try to find a checkpoint. Drop everything, stand up, go outside, stretch, be by yourself. Your manager's gonna understand because they want you in the right mindset to be able to accomplish that daily goal, at least the weekly, the monthly, the annual goal or whatnot. So take that time to yourself and just blank out, just empty your mind, just clear your head, and just prepare for the remaining time that you have. I definitely do that a lot of work, especially because my job is pretty daunting for the most part, so it asks a lot of me. So I'll take time to stand over to the side and just kind of reflect on what's going on, think positively, appreciate the job that I have, breathe, and then get back to it. So definitely keep that in mind as well. And that leads me to my third little tidbit within that tip, is to find your quiet place. So that can be at work when you're taking your break, somewhere where you know not a lot of people are going to be at for the time being. And at school, I definitely had a quiet place, and I visited this place so often. So I'd rather talk about that there. It may take a little time for me to get there, so just hang tight with me, guys. We're gonna get there and we're gonna talk a little bit more about my tips on how to relieve stress from being a full-time student and full-time worker. So see you guys in a little bit. So obviously I have some explaining to do. So when I was editing this video, and it's actually a pretty sad and funny story, I noticed that the particular video that I was gonna show, which looks like this, I cleared all the audio out. I don't know how I did it. Well, I do know how I did it, but it's embarrassing, but I cleared it out. And it's even funnier because I nicknamed that clip Quiet Time, and it was really, really quiet. So, you know, but the show must go on, so gotta keep going. Goodness gracious. So basically where I was getting at with this video is that I was currently at what I call a study pod at the University of Houston Library, and that's where I spent a lot of my time. And I was spending time reading, writing, any type of study related activity, sometimes sleeping or oftentimes sleeping and not doing much of anything. But the point is, that was my quiet time. That was where I spent my time to regather my thoughts and put myself back to a level of sanity, because as a full-time college student, a full-time worker, your mind goes a little haywire every now and then. So you gotta find your space to keep you quiet. And having that quiet space allowed me to, regardless of what was going on, to remain positive. I was able to remain positive then. I'm able to remain positive now with this stupid mistake I made. Positivity is a super important word, so definitely keep that in mind as we go on. So back to your regular broadcast. So on my way back from school, I actually went to the store and picked up this. So this is obviously my college degree. And before you guys say, oh man, he's just showing us his degree so he can brag and that's not what I'm doing. I'm showing you guys that, or I showed you guys that for two reasons. One, just to inform you that I got it from Hobby Lobby. So if there's a nearest Hobby Lobby to you or any craft store, go up to them before you decide to buy it at your school. You're probably gonna save a lot of money. I actually spent a third of what I would have spent in college. It looks just the same. That, and because I feel like this is a symbolism of what you can accomplish by being able to balance being a full-time student and a full-time worker. And if you're a college student right now, or if you were a college student pretty previously like I was, then you know when you go to class, it's not just you in the class. There's a bunch of other people and they're striving for the same thing. And that is what leads me to my third tip on how to balance being a full-time student and being a full-time worker. And that's surrounding yourself with people, not just with similar goals, but with positive attitudes. You'd be surprised on how many people can just cause a taint in your journey to getting to the finish line, which in college is getting that degree and being able to do things in the future, like get the job that you want. It's already hard enough to work to be able to pay for financial situations, like if you have a family or if you're living on your own, loan, or you just have to pay for school, or all the above. But to be around a group of people that are holding you back or making you feel any ways of negative is not gonna help. The group study sessions that I was in, the late night meetings with professors and other students who have grown to be either really good colleagues or pretty good friends even after college, is what helped me not only find better ways to relieve stress and to minimize stress and to avoid any unnecessary stressful things, but it got me to that stage, and it got me to the position to walk across the stage and shake my hand with the dean who I had never met and not get my diploma right then and there, which again, I feel like you should after we spent all that time and money, but to eventually get it in the mail and know that I have accomplished that goal. And that's something that you've either achieved or you're striving to achieve. Surround yourself by people that are positive, that understand that stress is going to come in all different directions, and you may not be able to rid of all of it, but just having a positive attitude is definitely a key start. It'll definitely take you far. And they all understand that college is not a marathon. Wow. They all understand that, especially when you have a work life, that college is almost impossible to be a sprint. It's a marathon for sure. And it's almost even more accomplishing when you can tell somebody, hey, I was in college for a decade, or in my case, hey, I was in college for 7 years, but I finally made it, as opposed to someone saying, oh yeah, I finished in 2.5 years. I mean, that's really cool and everything, and I mean, more power to you. You have more opportunity to start making money earlier, but there is no problem with taking your time, especially if you're doing it efficiently, while being able to have the time to study and having the time to work. So keep that in mind. Understand that it's definitely not a sprint, it's a marathon, and surround yourself with people that understand that, and understand that despite what stresses may come your way, that we're all trying to achieve the same thing and we're all gonna achieve it together. So those are my 3 tips on how I balance being a full-time student and being a full-time employee. So to my friend's girlfriend, I really hope that helped, and it didn't. At least you don't know where I live, and please don't tell your girlfriend where I live. And to the rest of you guys out there, hopefully you can take some of that as advice, at least one of the 3 things, or part of any of that advice, and let that carry on with you through the rest of your college career like it did for me. So appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you tune in next Thursday for my next video. As always, in the meantime, take care.